Get into whatever we want to draw or talk about.
Sure.
All right.
You take the lead.
Sure. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spice Cabinet. We're on episode. I didn't check. I'm a. That's how good of a host I am. But we're on an episode because that's what we do here. We record episodes. And I'm joined here by a really great webtoon artist and comic creator, Jade Fang. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, hello there. I am doing well. For those who don't know, my name is Jobson. I go around on the internet as Jade Fang, and I am the freelance graphic designer and also the illustrator and the creator of a webcomic called E is for Evil.
Yep. I
That-
earlier this week I read through everything you have on Webtoon. Really enjoying it so far. E is for Evil. Interesting setup, and I like fantasy stuff in general, so I'm excited to get into that with you. So, you said you're a freelance graphic designer.
yep, I'm actually graduated in graphic design.
Nice.
So I also do folio and portfolios. I mean, pamphlets and all the other jazz that graphic
Hmm.
designers also do.
So just like typical publication and graphic work and stuff like that.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I'm actually well, by the time that with this recording, I'll be graduating this Friday from graphic design. That's what I'm in as well.
Well,
Um,
congrats, man.
Thank you. Yeah. So there we go. We got another graphic designer on here. Except I never share any of my graphic design work anywhere, so nobody really sees that stuff.
So I welcome you to the toil.
Yeah. I'm
It is hell out here.
yeah.
Prepare yourself.
Yeah, I've been pretty well versed and told that industry is a little tough right now, which is fine. I'm not that pressed about it. But yeah. So do you got any ideas of what to draw?
Hmm. You know, I do remember that when I was still in high school, me and my artist buddies used to play this really dumb game,
Mm-hmm.
which was attack versus protect.
Okay.
which was, the tool of the game was very loose, but it was a fun like pastime.
Mm-hmm.
Which was we would draw a stick figure, and then one person would draw something that would attack it, and the other one would draw something that would protect it.
Okay.
Only rules of it was that you can't draw the same thing, like the same genre of thing twice,
Okay.
and it has to be like something that's recognizable. For example, like we draw a stick figure in the middle of the canvas,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, I draw Goku doing a Kamehameha, and then you're
Okay.
like, oh, I put Yami Yugi activating a trap card,
Okay.
black hole sucking up the Kamehameha.
Okay.
It doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be like
No, I got you. Okay. Yeah, we
the
can start with
thing.
that. Let's do it. That's something new. I've never done that before.
Oh yeah, it was a fun pastime
Mm.
in the EO times.
Back in the good
Well,
old
I guess we'll
days.
I guess we'll start it and we'll start. I'll make a little guy in the beginning, in the middle here.
All right. Sounds good.
Just draw a little guy, a little man,
Huh.
a little man that's like just reading a piece of paper.
Yeah. That little homunculus.
You just hear, he's just like reading the news,
Yeah. Just seeing what's going on.
seeing what's going on, like the news. It is the best way to
Did you
find
read
out
the
information.
news? You're about to fucking die.
Maybe he's like like shocked a little bit, like like what?
All right. So
Like global warming.
holy shit, the ice is melting, guys. All right.
Right now.
So you want to attack or defend?
So, so all the rules of the game, I will start by attacking him,
Okay.
and we will say that. Um, oh, I got it. We'll make really rude here.
So is it? Does it? I wait for you to like do your attack and then I pick a defend?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's how it works.
Okay.
It's like I will make a rip-off Darth Vader
Okay.
come after him.
All right. Let's think.
With the force choke.
Who would be a good counter to Darth Vader?
Oh, it doesn't have to be a good counter. You just have to like make a good argument that he would win.
I know.
It doesn't have to.
I mean, yeah, that's just what I'm trying to think of.
This like website that you said it's very interesting.
Oh yeah, no, this site's great. And they keep updating it regularly, and it's very like everything I see you drawing is in real time. Same shit over here, but okay.
It's Darth Vader, and he's like like attempting to force choke him because no one must know about global warming
I see.
until it's time.
All right. Let's see.
So, to fill up the dead air, while you're thinking, I'll talk a little bit about myself.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Tell the viewers what you are, what you're doing.
Yeah, my comic recently just finished its first chapter.
Yeah, I saw that.
I had that's a big accomplishment for me because I don't know about you guys, but I hate drawing backgrounds. Like I go this big rant all the time on Twitter how I hate drawing backgrounds and that if I could, I would make a comic that's just like made in the void and have none there. But it is a part of the art.
Yeah.
People like looking at it. It's like a thing that takes forever.
Yeah, I mean, with anything, it's gonna take, practice and everything, because backgrounds, it's a lot. Backgrounds, I would say, are a bit more complex to learn than the human form.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just because the human form is like, it's not. I'm not saying it's easy to learn the human form because it isn't, but with backgrounds, there's a lot more little things you gotta keep in mind to really make it look real and grounded.
Yep.
And they're also, it's very important to set it up and everything for the comic and shit, so where the characters are and what they're doing, and it just helps set the scene. But I feel you. I mean, I don't hate them. I guess. I just, not my favorite part of the drawing process.
Yeah, for me, it is not my favorite. Like, I'm not bad at it. Like, I've done quite a few of them before. But it's like, I don't know, it's like, all artists go like, oh, it's more desirable to draw a person than to draw the place the person's at.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask. There are some artists who their entire portfolio is like environment work. Like, there's a whole classification of artists called environment artists. And I'm sure if you ask them, they'll be like, I just like drawing. I like drawing environments and stuff. But I would agree that I think majority of artists I run across prefer characters, like people they can tie stories to.
I remember hearing somewhere that says like, for you to like drawing environments, you have to treat the environment as a character.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If your environment needs to have character to it, in a sense, like it feels like a distinct location that could exist, that has a culture, that feels lived in. I like prime examples. Like I like think of as like Lord of the Rings. Um, every location in Lord of the Rings feels like a place that's real. It has like a culture and community that lives there. That's
Yeah,
always
that is true.
it's a wonderful world building. Anyway, I did
Like
mine.
the
I'll let you finish in a second. It was just Ant Man. He's sending in a bunch of ants inside Darth Vader's suit and making them bite his fucking burn victim skin.
oh yes, Ant Man, Darth
Yeah.
Vader's worst enemy. Well, it's a good thing the Darth Vader brought back up in the form of he brought what's the name of that guy again? I know what he's gonna do. He's going to bring he brought back up, um let's see if I remember how to draw this. The Pink Panther.
Fucking Pink Panther.
Yeah, and he came in, because he's also in his Sith training. That's why he has like the evil eyes.
Mm.
And he came with like a cartoonishly big vacuum cleaner to get to get the Ant-Man family. Like he got the queen into his pink suckmobile.
Okay.
And he's he's doing terrorist
All right.
attempts with the ant colony, saying, we've got your queen,
I see. I see.
and we won't release her until you've given us our demands
Okay.
of
All right.
having all the jelly beans. That that's exactly what the Pink Panther wants. He wants all the jelly beans and maybe the gumdrops. He's going to ask for the gumdrops. He doesn't know if he's gonna get them, but it's always fun. He has a dream
Mm-hmm. All right.
of getting gumdrops, but he doesn't know if he's gonna get it.
I think I have the perfect counter to any situation, though. I don't know. I don't even know if this character's capable of losing.
Oh God, you don't mean.
I think I do. You know exactly what I'm fucking doing.
Oh, continuing with my little story.
Yeah, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, the whole background thing is, as I was saying, is and the character is very important. But I think something that's also really frustrating. I mean, not frustrating, just slightly annoying, is that people people that are not in the comic biz may not know this, but comics take a really long time to do.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
And usually you're making like 10 to maybe 20 different little squares with art in it. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it gets a little frustrating. It's like, man, this thing took a really long time to do, and somebody's just gonna look at it for like 2 seconds and then move on.
Absolutely.
And we're like, say a little bit more there. It's like it was nice. Look at that. Look at that windmill in that house that I did. It's in the top right.
Yep. And that's why,
That's a lot more efforts for that.
you know, that's kind of why I sort of you got to kind of pick and choose what you want to spend the time and detail on.
Yeah.
Having a background is important, but how detailed that background needs to be isn't really. That's something that's like it depends on the panel. Like if the background is super important, you spend more time on it, and if not, um, you know, you can draw some simple shit and move on because nobody's really going to pay attention to it anyway. It's a the more you do it, the more you'll kind of figure out, like, oh, I could spend an extra hour drawing these buildings to look really good, or I could just draw some simple squares, some lines here and there to make it look, like it's made of bricks or whatever, and then move on because there's no point. And then slap a halftone on top of it to give it some texture, and then you're good.
Yeah, what I usually do is I choose like two panels of a page and say these are going to be my main panels that I'm going to focus most of my work in. Because like, as an artist, there's always like this one or two things that you like drawing more than everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I go like, I like doing this. I'm gonna make this look nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you do this, but my mentality is like I'm making this comic for me before everyone else.
Oh
So
no,
if I'm
yeah,
making it for me, I have to like making it, but I also have to like looking at it.
for sure. And
So
I
I go like,
mean,
what do I like looking at more? And it's like this thing. So I'm gonna make this thing look nice.
yeah, I mean, I would say with any sort of creative endeavor, the first person you should be making it for is you. Because if you're making something and you hate it, I like, I don't know if it's going to be something that you'll be proud of or even something you can guarantee other people will like just because you're not going to be putting everything you can into something you hate.
Yeah, that is true.
So,
That is, I agree with it.
yeah.
I cannot understand those people that like making comics for like some sort of algorithm attention.
I mean, yeah, the algorithm is it's got a strong hold on a lot of artists. And it can stifle the work. I've seen it stifle the work of certain artists where, you know, they start drawing for the likes, for the clicks, for the engagement, and then suddenly it's just like I just don't like the work anymore, just because it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like they're putting as much heart and soul into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's it can have an effect on people, just because mentally as well. It's like, for a lot of people, um, it's one of those things where that mental attitude of like you see the numbers go up and you think people like your work, or you see the numbers go down and it has a negative effect. So that's how some people can get into like art trends and all the algorithmic likable things. Um, but I that sort of lifestyle isn't really for me. Um,
yeah.
but I
So
can,
explain your logic of protect here.
it's Uncle Grandpa, dude.
Yeah, I know, but like just just for the the
All right.
for the view for the video,
Oh,
explain to your
okay.
viewers what he is
So
doing.
here's what's gonna happen. Darth Vader's gonna choke out Uncle Grandpa, right? Let's see. He's getting choked out right now, and he's gonna fucking die and keel over, and then there's gonna be an identical Uncle Grandpa that walks out of frame, right? And he's gonna be like, "Damn, sure glad I wasn't that guy." And then he's just gonna keep doing that until Darth Vader gives up.
My God, that's genius.
He can't because he can't.
So
That's just how he is.
I know. It's a genius thing.
Yeah, Uncle Grandpa's is like kind
More
of
than chess over here.
he solos kind of any universe he's put into. He clears them all.
So I'll think of something over here. So I'll give you the floor for your story time. Tell me like about what like what's your dreams, what's your aspirations?
um,
What do you plan on doing after you graduate?
I mean, first thing is find a job. I mean, I'm going in for illustration. That's my area of design I'm focusing in. If like my website and portfolio is published and out there, if so people can look at it, but a lot of the stuff I like to do is illustration and stuff around that. So right now I'd like to get a job that focuses on that, but eventually I'd like to move into sort of freelance, and I would love to just you know have my comic work be my career. Like this is what I would like to do all day, just working on my comic and making money off of it. That sort of lifestyle, more I guess more the typical more entrepreneurship type lifestyle. and
Oh, that
yeah,
that is cool, man. I am currently trying to do that. Like
yeah.
I actually work as a freelance for most things.
Hmm.
I've tried, the whole company thing, but it is exhausting
Yeah,
to say the least.
yeah. For me, if I were to work in a company, I definitely wouldn't want to do anything corporate. Um, maybe something like startup or small like in-house studio or something. That's probably what I would be. Oh, you motherfucker! You are not.
Oh, keep going.
You
Keep saying
can't.
what you
You
what you're
can't do
doing.
that.
I am doing that.
um, but yeah, uh, for me, it's like in-house studio. I've dabbled in the idea of like doing concept art and like video games and animation and stuff. Um, so I'm open to different avenues of design as a career. Obviously, my dream career is to just be working on my comics, and then you know later down the line, I have that big magnum opus dream of having my own animated series. But at all in due time, I'm just gonna just keep working at my stuff.
And what about? I've actually read your comic. I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Your
nice.
art's actually really good.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Though, like I know, like, is this your first comic or have you done one before?
I have I have a lot of comic ideas and I've practiced making comics, but this is my first like just comic story that I've actually started and fleshed out and tried to continue with.
Oh, yeah, it does look like that. It's not as a bad thing, but like this, like for me, it is actually my fourth comic attempt.
Oh, okay.
Like my first comic attempt was a very, I think I was still in high school.
Hmm.
Not high school. I was like finishing high school, going to college,
Hmm.
and I was like dancing with the ideas, like, huh, maybe I can like doing something comic related. So let's just try this one and see if I like doing it.
Hmm.
It's like as you know, like a try before buying.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking, like maybe I should do a comic idea that's super easy for me to do, that I don't have to think too much about the art,
Hmm.
and just to see if I like doing it, like because I knew like that comic work was like I'm gonna be drawing the same thing over and over and over again.
Hmm.
So let's see if I like doing that first. So I did like a Nuzlocke Pokemon adventure comic,
Okay.
which 3D brain, like 3D chess, Giga Chad move. I called Pokemon Adventure comic as the title of it,
Pokemon
and it was like
Adventure
really bad.
Adventure
It was,
comic.
yep.
That's a good name though. Get
So
straight to
it
the
was like
fucking get
really,
straight to the fucking point.
yeah, it was like really crudely drawn, and it was like a bunch of jokes that I just came up with while I was drawing. I put like a bunch of references in it. I
Hmm.
didn't finish it because it was like I learned things from the comic, and like the biggest thing I learned from it is that I don't really like drawing fan draw, like what would be like drawing animals. I don't really like drawing animals. I can do it, but I don't really like doing it for like a extended period of time.
Okay.
And I also don't like drawing fan art.
I am with you on that one. Fan art. I've drawn like I've probably drawn only a handful of fan art in my entire life. Um, I
Yeah,
just
same thing here.
I don't enjoy it, and I know fan art is it's one of those things that's pretty good for the algorithm because it's already a thing that's popular. But for me, it's like every time I think about it, I'm like, well, I could do that, or I could go and keep developing my stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought of it. But
Yeah.
like I've also done a handful of fan art beforehand,
Hmm.
but it was never enough to like me like looking at it, it's like, wow, I really hate doing this.
Yeah.
It was basically because like if I remember, it was a Pokemon adventure set in the Hoenn region, There were always the Pokemon drawings that you
Hmm.
had to do to, make it slightly recognizable.
Yeah.
And, in that comic, I think I drew like Mudkip around like 600 times, and like by the end of it, when I stopped drawing it, I was like, I really hate drawing this Pokemon anymore. I really like it, but I really hate drawing it with a passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
Oh, go ahead.
that was my experience with the first comic.
Okay. Yeah, I
The
mean,
second one, oh,
draw.
wait, just say what you want.
Oh, I was just saying, like, um, I've seen people do like alternate universe comics and stuff like that, which is ideas I've played around with before. Um, but it's one of those things where there's so many ideas that I could work with my own stuff. It's like I might as well just create a world from scratch, and I can play with it and change it however I want, as long as it's consistent with what I set up beforehand. Um, you know, which is nice, but it's also a lot bigger task than you know going in a world that's already existing and just using the rules that they came up with before you, because you don't have to like set up any foundational set of stuff. Whereas with your own, it's a bit more of a daunting task to create something from scratch completely.
Yeah, so continue on with our game here from our little side tangent.
Yeah, I got you.
I drew Scribble Bob,
Yep.
and as you know, Scribble Bob is evil, but he
Mhm.
also learned things from from future seasons of SpongeBob, where he like got a string that he found on the bottom of Uncle's shoe, and he just pulled it and unraveled him
Mm.
completely. And as the new ones keep spawning in, he keeps just pulling the string infinitely. And I'll just continue on with my little story here,
Yeah,
my little
yeah. Keep going.
comic making adventure, while you think of your things there. That on my second comic I made, which I actually plan on eventually coming back to it, which is a comic that I named Magic Sword. I was like, all right, I learned that I like drawing comics. I don't like drawing fan art. So let's just make a world.
Mhm.
And I just started like making like a little fantasy world based on D&D and whatnot.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
They like little lore of it, they like the little characters of it.
Mhm.
But in this comic, I learned that it for me to actually make a comic, I have to like plan like very far in advance, and or else you get the thing called writer's block when you're making something and you don't think that far ahead in it.
Hmm. Yeah. It depends on the
Which is
writers too. I mean, there's some writers who I know like they just go like balls to the wall with it. They don't really do a lot of planning. They make it a lot up as they go, and still end up writing really solid stuff. But there are some
yeah,
people, like you said, like you have to plan very far ahead, and it's very meticulous, which is probably the better way to go, just in general, I would say. Um, if someone's like getting into writing, I probably wouldn't recommend them the idea of like, yeah, just go balls to the wall, and just do it. It'll work out in the end, because that's not always the case. But
yeah. For me, I was learning this stuff for me myself. Like
mhm,
I can't really say for somebody else. Maybe somebody else can like do like the inspirational 3 a.m. I got it. I'll do this now. But
mhm,
I just can't do it. I'm too dumb for that. So it was like Magic Swords. I actually really enjoyed making it, but I actually got stuck in one of the scripts because I was making like this big heist,
mhm,
and I had like a rough idea of how I wanted to it, but once I stopped like getting to the nitty and gritty, like I couldn't like figure out how the
mhm.
characters would be able to escape.
Okay,
Like I knew how they wanted to escape, but I didn't know how to proceed them
okay.
into the process of escaping until they got to the place. And I was like, you know what? I'll just put this for later. And in that one, I learned something like another thing that's very important is that you have to learn to like stop while it's still good. Because if you just keep going on something, you can like it's bad for your health if you're doing something that is not enjoyable. Like you learn how to take breaks, learn how to stop, like put something down
Mhm.
without feeling too bad about yourself.
Yeah. Obviously taking breaks is a very important, healthy thing. If you're watching this, don't let those fucking grind set people trick you into thinking you have to absolutely be working 14 hours a day, staying up all night, getting 2 hours of sleep in order to be successful as an artist. That's not true. It's not real. Um, you can absolutely take a couple hours out of your day to like do other stuff if you want to. Um, or if you need like a couple days to just like step away from your work for a little bit, do it. Opportunities come and go. There will always be another one. I really hate that like grind set mentality that's been growing online. But yeah.
That is terrible. And I remember when I first thought that I need to put this down, I was really feeling like really guilty about myself
Yeah.
because I was working on it for like the better part of 2 years on it already. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm really just gonna throw all this away,
Mm-hmm.
like and like start from scratch again. It's like
Yeah.
I really wanted to make one that's really good, but don't I don't want to stop, but I don't know how to continue.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like it was like a conflicting feeling as because you want to keep going, but you also want to stop at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was like thinking like maybe other people have gone through this. Let's like look for some tips for how webcomic creating. I think this was like pre-pandemic, 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I was like looking at stuff like how to make a webcomic and how to write a script, how to
Yeah.
do storytelling. I was just like gobbling everything I could find on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, for like script making and like storytelling, I found an actual really fun YouTube channel. It's not a sponsor, it's just somebody that I really like. Is a terrible writing advice. I don't know
Okay.
if you ever heard of it.
Terrible writing advice. No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel where the guy just tells you in a very sarcastic way how to not write a great story,
Okay.
and like you get the idea that the opposite of everything he's saying is how to do good storytelling.
Okay.
And I think and I get lost in track when I talk sometimes.
No, you're good. You're good,
Like
man.
the thing I really like about the channel is that there is like a how to, but there's also like this really funny like little lore about his little characters that he uses.
Uh-huh.
He has like the guy that does everything right and the guy that does everything wrong on purpose.
Okay.
And there's also the evil ad agency.
Mm-hmm.
There's always ads putting ad in the end of the channel.
Okay.
And there's the evil syndicate. There's like a bunch of stuff, but I really enjoyed the channel because it actually did help me while writing the script for my current comic that I'm making. E is for evil.
Mm-hmm.
But the comic I made before that one, which is the one that was never published, was one that the call to action thing they had on Webtoon a few years ago.
I do. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a comic prepared for that one
Yeah.
that was like, all right, I made the script, I made the comic,
Mm-hmm.
it's all gonna look great. It was like a really long action action comic, and then my computer burned, and I lost all the files in the computer.
Your computer like burned, like legitimately burned.
Yeah, there was like a lightning storm that like fried the
Oh,
hard drive,
damn.
motherboard at the same time.
Shit.
There was like no way to get the files back, and I was like,
Just lost forever. Fucking burning in the
Lost
library of
forever.
Alexandria.
man, I was so mad about that.
I imagine.
Like I didn't draw for like I think it's like 3 months.
Shit.
It's like mourning the computer.
God damn.
I
Yeah.
was able to draw on the computer because it was like on repair and whatever, but still. But then, as life gives you lessons in the most bitchy way possible,
Mm-hmm.
you learn to let go and say, there's some things that you just can't control.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a fucking lightning bolt flying into your house and frying your computer is like, yeah,
I think
nothing you can
I
really.
think
That's
the
just an
fridge
act.
also got burned.
That's just an act of fucking God at that point.
Yeah, Zeus really had it out for me.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I remember that call to action thing. I was going to submit, like, if I didn't finish it in time, because they said you could just submit a current action scene you were working on in your comic, and I was, but by the time it was already over, I hadn't finished what I was working on originally, so I didn't get a chance to submit anything. But I do remember that. I don't remember seeing it, if anyone, like any of the winners or anything, though. I didn't keep up with it.
Yeah, I didn't keep up. I didn't keep up with it either, but it was more like a hatred thing for me. So anyway, tell us a little the story of your little drawing that you did here.
Oh,
Like, what is he doing?
I remember that episode of SpongeBob, and I hope I'm right. Otherwise, I'm gonna look like a fucking clown. Didn't SpongeBob just delete Doodlebob from existence by erasing him?
No, he actually erased him by putting him in a book. But you know, he did use the pencil at some point.
I could have swore he
So
didn't. He threatened him with the eraser, right? At one
so he
point.
did. He did threaten the
Okay.
eraser.
So it can hurt him. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. That's my yeah. SpongeBob comes back and he's like, "Oh no, you fucking don't."
Well, I think of something. Why don't you tell a little bit story about your comic? Like, you
Uh,
know, what inspired you to make Where the Humans Go?
so I've been wanting to make a comic since like senior year of high school, but my original comic idea, which I still uh, am going to make one day, absolutely will. Um, it was called Starter Pack Gang. Is called Starter Pack Gang. That's something I want to do, but Where the Humans Go started in September of 2021. I started drawing it, and it was kind of on a whim, like literally what I was saying before. I just started making it. I didn't plan it really. I didn't create like a whole outline for the entire story. I just started writing a script, which is what I do. I write a script for multiple chapters ahead, and then I redraft them, and then I start drawing. Um, and so I sort of just started that way because I started drawing these like monster characters, like these in my story they're called chimera, these human hybrid um, characters, and I started drawing them just as character design things on the internet, and I liked how they looked, and then a lot of people were telling me they liked how they looked, and say, you know, these would be really interesting characters to explore. I was like, I thought about it, I was like, yeah, they could. And I've always wanted to start making a comic, you know, and I might as well just do it with these characters since I have them. And, you know, I could put them to good use. And that's kind of how I just started. And from there, I kept working. And I'm right now for this comic, I'm over 160 pages into it for the first volume. And when it's done, it'll probably be around 200 250 pages when I finish the first volume. um, so that's the goal I set out for myself with this one. I want to at least finish one volume, and then I'll decide whether from there I'll continue it or put it on the back burner for later and start something different, but I at least want to finish the first volume, that's for sure.
I think that's what I'm gonna do for mine as well.
Yeah.
But like from my script that I currently have, I think my comic will be around like 500 pages for the first volume.
Nice. Yeah,
It's
that's a
actually,
hefty one.
yeah, 'cause it's actually based on a D&D campaign I had.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Like
I thought about
the
doing
entire
that as well.
story, like the D&D campaign's already finished. Like it's one of the rare ones where you start with a group and you end the story with the group.
Really, that's rare.
I mean, usually, you know, it just continues into another thing, which evolves into another thing, and then everybody gets tired and it stops.
Interesting.
Like the big ones.
I've been a part of one big D&D campaign, and that one had a definitive. I joined it halfway through, but that one did have a definitive start and end. And last year, the same group, we started another campaign, which is a whole new story, whole new characters, and that one we're probably gonna have a definitive end as well
Well,
currently.
that's cool.
But no,
But
I love D&D. But keep going.
for my current friends, we either do like really short campaigns where
Mm-hmm.
we start and finish, or we do a really long one where we kind of get lost in the plot and just like quit and just start a new short one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like people, that don't have time for it. But hey, if you guys are doing, do you guys do like a online
We do
or?
it. We do it online, yeah, because we live in different parts of the country. But it is always. I look forward to it every Sunday we do it, and I'm always super excited because it's a really good group of people and artists. Three of them have been on Spice Cabinet already. Um, it is three, right? Ninja Falcon, Gut Witch, and Lazy. Yeah. So three of them have been on the show already. They're fantastic artists, which makes the sessions a lot more fun because
Oh, that's actually really cool.
yeah, because we have
You have
like
room for one more. Maybe I can join you guys as well.
maybe I can ask the DM. Right now, I think our party's at 7, so I really
Damn.
it's really it's
Yeah,
his
maybe
campaign.
not.
It's
'Cause,
his
7
campaign.
is hefty.
It's his campaign, so it's and he already has to deal with 7 concurrent dumbasses every week. So. But I love it because we have our own Discord server, and like during the thing while we're like doing combat or role playing, because we've got artists in there, you'll check the art channel and people are drawing things that have happened, whether it's like
It's fun.
whether it's like badass or it's really funny. So some of the art is fucking fantastic and hilarious that we get into, but I have thought about doing that, turning one of those campaigns into a genuine linear graphic novel, and it's always been a thing I've thought about doing. And after I finish the first volume of Where the Humans Go, it's something I've genuinely considered. So we'll see. But yeah, D&D is a great source of just inspiration as well. Good way to get out creative ideas.
And the funny thing is that the current character, the main character was the one that I actually played. The inspiration from it was actually a D&D horror story I listened on YouTube once.
Mm-hmm. What, the main character?
Which was like
Enna? Is that how you pronounce it?
Emma.
Emma is with
Emma
with an M.
Yeah, it's EMA.
Oh, I thought it was EN. Oh, let me go back to this. I could have sworn it was ENA. Give me a second.
It is whatever. It's close enough. But anyway, the story I
don't want to get it wrong. That's just how I am. Oh, it is Emma.
So anyway,
yeah. I probably shouldn't have doubted you on your own story, but.
So anyway,
yeah.
As I was saying, like this, I actually heard the story in a D&D horror story session where the guy said the idea for it, and I was like, man, this is a really good idea for a story. And like another character botches the story like tremendously, which makes like the story of this character impossible to conclude. I was like really angry at it. It's like, man, I wanted to finish that, and I just had the idea, maybe I should do it.
Okay.
And that's what I did. But
yeah,
it was funny. Like the first day I'm doing the first session is basically the first chapter. Like that entire chapter was happening in the first session. The little background story behind it is that I actually arrived to the session around 30 minutes late.
Oh wow!
So I had no idea what they were doing. So the characters were like planning to do like this big heist to get like the MacGuffin that was in the fair, but I had made no part of that planning. So I get in the middle of it while they're doing it, and I had no idea who was a character and who wasn't. So I just go like, oh, this thing is happening. Maybe I should do this thing to prevent it, which made their plans like go haywire. Which basically is what happened in the comic, like the Emma doing the little darkness spell to try to stop the person bombing the town.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really gonna hurt anybody because the plan was like I'm going to bomb to scare people away from this area so that the other characters can go in and get the MacGuffin.
Okay.
But since, he couldn't see anything, so he was just, going, okay, I'm gonna try to scare people away, which if I remember, the rolls were terrible, which actually made him like hurt a lot of people.
Oh god.
Like instead of scaring people, it just like started doing like a bunch of collateral damage,
Uh-huh.
which is basically what I try to translate to the comic.
Yeah. That's
So
that's
a
definitely an
little,
interesting thing with like D&D is like translating into a comic is like in D&D when you do like morally dubious things, it's like mostly played off as a joke when you're around everyone else, but like in the story that's like I always thought it's like
it gets dark.
that's definitely something you got to account for. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
having characters make the thing with me is like I understand for game mechanics it's fine, but there's some times where like you make a bad roll. It's like, do you translate that terrible roll into a story? Because it's like for people playing a game it makes sense, but for people who are coming at it from purely the story perspective, it's like a character rolling a nat 1 isn't the greatest excuse for like a character not being able to do something they absolutely should be able to do and have been presented as being able to do. Um, so like for if I were to ever do it, those are things I would definitely change. Like not making them like rolling a nat 1 is fun in game, but in a story it's like yeah he trips and falls and dies. It's like oh that's not you can't just do that. Why would he
yeah,
trip and
maybe not
fall like that?
big. Usually we just play like as an act of God saying you're not gonna do this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're usually good at this, but because of these certain circumstances that happen perfectly,
Yeah.
you weren't able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, continue on with our little game here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I if you remember the SpongeBob movie, like the first one,
Yeah.
SpongeBob
Fucking David
was
Hasselhoff.
was murked by a lamp. Was murked by a lamp. So I
Almost.
brought in the
Yeah.
most deadly of lamps,
God,
the
lamp.
Pixar lamp,
The fucking
which
God.
went on a killing spree. Came in killing all the other letters, and now he has a hit on SpongeBob now.
It's gonna fucking cook him alive. Okay.
Anyway, I'll just continue like speaking like about the D&D thing,
Yeah.
because I also like sometimes play as the DM for my group.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a little rotisserie, little carousel of DMs, so
Oh, okay, that's
we always get
interesting.
like a different one.
Okay.
So usually when people get a natural one in my games, I usually like if they're like really good at it, like it's like one of their proficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like you usually are able to do this, but like try to make like a scenario that
Mm-hmm.
would make it so that in this specific like occasion you weren't able to do the thing that you're usually good at. Like I think like one of them that I did was like there was like this rogue that was really good at investigating. Like it was one of their proficiencies, and you know how rogues have like that skill that like doubles everything they're proficient in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he had like a really high modifier for it. So he was investigating a room to try to get clues about something that happened in the room.
Yeah.
So, but he got a nat 1 on it. But he's like, I don't want to make it so that it's impossible for him to do it. But he got a nat 1. So I was like, all right, so you came into this room and it was really dusty and you have allergies to this specific, fungus that is making this dust in this room. So because of your allergies, your nose is really stuffy and you can't really see things in this room very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, and because of that, can't really do any investigation. So he had to get out of the room because, his allergies started acting up and he just started sneezing everywhere. So, it's like act of God's like, it's like, outside of your control. It's not like something like, oh, you tripped and fell. It's like,
No, yeah,
it's
but
funner when it's in the story.
no, yeah, but I mean, even stuff like that, like the act, like the like I said, nat ones and stuff are super fun while playing, but if I were to see that in a movie, like a character trying to investigate something and then his allergies get so bad he has to leave, and that's how the story continues, it's like, what do you, as a story perspective, in terms of like a movie or something outside of the fact that this person rolled a nat one in real life, I would see that and I'd be like, what do you mean? Where did
No,
the
actually,
allergies come from?
I would say that in stories it's different,
No,
but
that's what I
like,
mean because
no,
I'm
it's
talking
like
about the adaptation thing. Like in a
there's an
D&D game,
adaptation
that's perfectly
that
fine.
work. I would say that actually can work in a like basis. You just have to, do a little bit of foreshadowing beforehand. Maybe like in before the story, like before they got to this specific area, like maybe his allergies act up in another time. So then you like, when you see that, it's like, oh, all right, I can
Well, absolutely, but that at that point,
expect a little bit more.
that's like setup and payoff, cause and effect. So that there's no issue with that specifically. Um, if you want the allergies to play a part in the story, you absolutely have to set it up in some way so it pays off later on. Um, but
Yeah, I think
that
that
would be the whole adaptation aspect of it. Making it make sense.
yeah, I think that's actually one of the biggest things that I thought was like creatively interesting, like translating a D&D campaign into an actual story. Is that since the story is done, I have like all the things that are going to happen in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always like these little game actions that are kind of like iffy,
Mm-hmm.
but you like write it off as because it's a game and it's fine, it's fun. But then because you have the entire story, you can say, all right, this thing happens over here, and I can, where can I put in the story beforehand as a little setup for it so that when it happens, it just doesn't come out of left field,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is, something it's always it's a fun little puzzle that you can do.
yeah. I mean, it's cause and effect and consistency for me are probably, I would say they're the most important things in a story. If you ask someone else, they might say something different, but for me at least, uh, a story being set up properly, things work as they are consistently made to set to work. Um, is probably the most important thing for me in a story because like if not, then it removes a lot of the stakes, any sort of kind of you know any sort of investment I could have in a story without it, unless it's just funny bad, and then I'll love it, like Batman and Robin or something. You know,
Like this so bad it's good.
exactly. But sometimes things are just bad, and there's no fun in the bad. It's just not enjoyable.
Like it's not bad enough to be good. It's just bad.
Exactly, it's just plain bad. You can't get any enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I can also see that. I think, but it also is. I think it's for you to make it so bad it's good. There's actually some strategy behind it,
I mean, yeah,
and not
that's
everybody
what
can do it.
that's what parodies are. Like the best parodies are ones where it rides that line, but it's so ridiculous that everything works out perfectly. Um,
That is true.
like
You just
scary movie, Spaceballs. I'm
and
con-
you
I'm convinced that
got me
like
nostalgic for the Yu-Gi-Oh series.
you know
You ever heard of that?
which one?
The Yu-Gi-Oh! The abridged series?
I've heard of it.
Have you-
Yes, I've never watched it. I have seen the Dragon Ball abridged series, which I
Like
great.
the OG, like the OG one is actually the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged,
I heard that
which
one's
came out
like one of
before every other one.
I heard Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged is one of the first like abridged series to ever come out. I've never watched it
I remember.
myself.
I think it's actually the first one.
Hmm.
Like the other ones came out after it.
Yeah,
But like, the whole thing, like, it's so bad, but like if you know something's bad and you point out that it's bad in the story, like it somehow becomes good for some reason.
it depends on the story. Like in a comedy or something like in a bridge series, like the one I've watched, Dragon Ball. The Dragon Ball abridged points out inconsistencies and bad writing decisions within the original
Yeah.
Dragon Ball show that they carry over to the series. So that's an aspect of like it's a parody. It's making fun of itself and Dragon Ball, but in certain stories, like that I would just I guess what you're describing is more like lampshading, um, where like certain stories like point out that something doesn't make sense as a way to try and like deter the fact that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think it works in certain contexts like parodies and comedies, but in like a movie that's not either of those things, it's just like, oh, so you recognize something's wrong, but you couldn't figure out how to fix it. I guess it all just has like a time and place for sure.
Yeah, I think it works better when your story is comedy oriented.
Yeah.
Like if you're making like maybe some sort of grim dark detective like story,
Hmm.
can't really use lamp shading on it because it doesn't fit the tone.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
like maybe like those mysteries. It's like, oh, this mystery that it's better when everything fits in place. And
well, for things
you're
like
like saying, oh, this
mysteries,
doesn't fit. And it's like, what the
yeah,
hell? I thought
for
you
things
had it all figured out.
for things like mysteries, like that's one of those stories where having absolutely every puzzle piece fit in place is pretty paramount to the genre. Like a murder mystery, if something doesn't line up properly, then all of a sudden, like the whole, the mystery aspect of it kind of falls apart because it's like, oh, these conveniences or contrivances are what pushed it along rather than the puzzle pieces actually being put together properly.
Yeah.
But there's some
Well,
cases where
speaking
like having missing pieces or I guess sort of conveniences don't really ruin a story too much because it's not like the focus. Like something great. Like I don't know if you've watched Arcane. Um,
yeah, I watched
it's a fantastic show, one of my favorites of all time. It's not perfect. It has a few moments where characters probably should have died or um, been much more severely injured than they were. But it's like, is it an issue? Yeah. Is it also kind of a nitpick? A little bit. So it doesn't really hamper down the whole story. Um, it's just that's the storytelling is just so damn fluid. Like something can work perfectly for another story, but absolutely be abysmal for another, and
Yeah.
it's just that
It depends on
dance.
it depends on the suspension of disbelief of your audience. There are things that the
True.
audience can swallow, and there's other things that it this doesn't go down that as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's all that's part of like where the world building comes in and like your setups. Um, you know, like the suspension of disbelief of like you got to like buy into the world immediately. Um, but
Yeah, yeah, I do agree with that.
yeah,
You have to buy into that actual story. There's
yeah.
actually a, a article that I was reading that was like, oh, a story is actually just an experience that a group of people collectively accept.
I mean, sure, but
No, but
I
no, the
guess
thing they
yeah.
were saying, like the point of the article was like explaining how if a story doesn't make sense, like a certain aspect of it, and the audience reject it, it's not really on the audience for not accepting it. It's more on the writer for
Oh, well,
not
yeah,
presenting something that's probable.
100%. Yeah, it's if a story doesn't make sense, you can't blame the audience if you didn't set anything up or like you never explain it. You know, uh, I lost my fucking train of thought.
All right, so you drew Saitama here,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Reflecting the light off of with his beautifully bald head.
My God, you you and your crazy ideas. But
the,
fortunately, I came prepared.
oh yeah.
So I'll let you go on a little tangent here while I prepare myself
Okay.
here.
So
So
yeah.
you uh you were talking about Angor, was it?
What are you saying?
The Star Wars series that you're talking
Oh,
about.
Andor. Yeah, Andor.
That's what it is.
It's uh,
So
it's
what
just
is it about exactly? Since
Have you
I
seen Star Wars Rogue One? That film?
I read reviews about it.
Okay. So
As I said,
he.
I've stopped looking at Star Wars
Okay.
since the first
So
of the first new trilogy.
okay. So Andor is a character from Rogue One, and this is set before that movie takes place. Um, and basically, it's just a guy. It's a story about how this guy who's like looking for his sister gets wrapped up in the rebellion and like becoming a part of it. The setup is like he goes on the run because he kills uh, some imperial officers in like the first 10 or 15 minutes of the show, and that kind of sets him on a journey of like trying to stay on the run, stay hidden from that, and he's being hunted down, and that gets him all wrapped up in the rebellion. And without spoiling it, just like that's kind of his sort of prequel story. I think they're gonna have a season 2, maybe 3. I don't know if they're, or they might just end it in season 2, but that's basically what it's about. And then to like see the conclusion of his story, I guess you would just watch the Rogue One movie um, that came out a few years ago at this point.
Was Rogue One a good movie?
It was probably the best sequel movie. Even though it's not even a sequel, it like takes place before, like right before A New Hope, so it's technically one of the earlier things on the timeline. But it's part of like the new movies that have released with the sequel trilogy, and I think it's probably the best movie. I didn't watch Solo because I didn't give a shit. It looked boring, and all of the sequel films are really trash. That one I kind of enjoyed though. Like I had the most fun with, so I could recommend that one. And then watch Andor.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a look at it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty neat movie.
You know, the current generation of films is not.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to find a good one. It's hard to find a good one.
It's I had talked about this with another creator from the Tatty Inc. Discord server. That episode came out last week. We were talking about the mainstream sludge that just keeps coming out and doesn't seem to be improving.
I don't know how they do it, but like
Money.
each of the major film things, like usually they come out with at least like one or two good ones in the
Yeah,
year, but
they used to.
everything is getting get worse.
No, it's yeah. They just and I mean, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the behind the scenes stuff where like they don't tighten up a script. They hire inexperienced directors or writers, and it's gotten to the point where like all they're like building up of bad decisions are starting to catch up to them in like the Disney movie sphere, and all this mainstream stuff isn't really working out like they thought it would.
Yeah, and when I think they've gotten the message that the things they're doing are terrible, but because of the industry grind that usually takes like 2 to 3 years for something they're making now to
Mm-hmm.
actually go out in theaters, like we're just like passing through the sludge before they change their ways.
Exactly. Yeah. It's still got some clearing out to do.
At least that is my hope, my dream that someday in the near future we're going to get better stuff to
Yeah.
watch.
And there is good stuff to watch that exists. It's just not at the forefront.
Not mainstream.
Yeah, it's not always like right in front of you like it used to be. You know, I just always like I always refer back to Godzilla minus one. It's such a crazy good example of like someone taking a studio taking a well-known, very very used IP. Like there's a ton of Godzilla films in media, but they managed to make something really fucking good with it. And like comparing it to Godzilla and Kong, it's like you can't even fucking compare it. Like Godzilla minus one is best one of the best Godzilla monster movies in general made in a long time.
Yeah, as someone who has watched both, I enjoy both, but I would compare like Godzilla minus one is like fine dining restaurant. Maybe
It's
like
that five
and,
star
and like
meal.
Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla X Kong, like Applebee's. Like you enjoy going to Applebee's.
Yeah, I
Not bad food. Like you like eating there, but it's not fine dining.
for I
It's not
just
bad, but it's not
Godzilla.
something that's awesome.
Yeah,
Like I enjoyed the monsters punching monsters in Godzilla X Kong.
I thought sometimes they were good. Like honestly though, some of the fights I didn't even like in Godzilla and Kong. Have like a couple of the fights were like either really short or they something was killed off screen. Um, the best
I think
fight
the
in the
thing that
film, the best fight in the film was easily Kong using that little baby fucking gorilla as a rag doll. Um,
yeah, that was
that
hilarious.
was
I laughed
fucking
watching that.
so funny. It's like when CPS comes in and tries to take away my beer getter.
I think that the thing that held Godzilla X Kong back in the fight aspect is that most fights you don't have humans around for you to grip the scale of it, so it just looks like a really slow fight.
Well, it was also the issue is one thing that like something like Pacific Rim, if you've ever seen that, nailed so well was the scale. Um,
Yeah,
and the same thing with Godzilla minus one. Like every time Godzilla even just took a step, he was like a walking catastrophe. Um,
yeah,
like he would lift up the roads and like just knock down buildings just by walking. His fucking like atomic breath was a literal, like dirty bomb. It was just a fucking nuke. Um,
yeah.
and then
Right.
like in these new movies, they feel so weird because they have these like crazy CGI camera shots and you can't really tell the scale, and like Godzilla running like a fucking track star is so goofy. I still don't know
Yeah,
why
and
they did that with him. It's not.
it's because they don't have a like most of the fights that happened in the movie were like either done in Hollow Earth was where everything's already big, so it just
Yeah,
looks like monkey. Like this looks like a nature documentary
yeah,
basically.
right.
You just see like monkeys
It's
fighting
just
monkeys and
yeah,
monkeys fighting
it's just
alligator.
like real life chimpanzees fighting each other. That's all they had to do
Yeah,
for the movie. Um,
yeah, and that's the thing that really I think like they could have done better. Like, but that would like require for you like to rewrite the entire story to put some
so
sort of scaling
so
involved.
so rewrite the
I'm
entire
pretty sure
so
they
just
would do it.
rewrite it. Like I know that's like a stupid thing to say to an industry studio, but it's like, yeah, just rewrite it. If you can make it better, then fucking do it. But I know they're not going to do that because like
And
there's studios with quotas and they have to meet them. um they have to make their money because they don't want to spend too much. It just I feel like, you know I don't like dumbing down certain movies just for the sake of it. Like you can have your really badass cool monster action and really well written, well choreographed stuff. Like Godzilla minus one had some of the coolest, most jaw-dropping Godzilla sequences I've ever seen, and they had a good story. Like it can be done. It's possible. I just
so,
think it's a matter of talent.
so as I said, it's Applebee's. Applebee's has fine,
But it
has all
can
right
be
food.
fine dining. It could be. If they just tried harder, they could make these American films. It could be fine dining.
No, but considering the fact, let's just go with the fact that Godzilla X Kong came out in the slog era of
Mhm.
movies, where everything is hot garbage.
I mean, it still
If
kind of is.
everything is hot garbage, and you just like give they give you like some French fries from Applebee's, you're like, all right, this considering everything else is dog shit,
Hmm.
this is fine, but I expect better later on, like in the future.
So for me, my issue, I guess, with that is I think we should keep criticizing them on the mistakes they made, because if we just tell them, yeah, this is good, this is fine, I don't expect them to improve. You know, I feel like it happens a lot with like companies where they get comfortable, and that's when things start to really go to shit. Um, like I guess as creatives, we should always be looking to improve ourselves and each other. Um, like Godzilla, like and Kong is like, yeah, it has some cool monster scenes, I guess, but the majority of the movie is really fucking bad too. Like I don't care about a single human being in that film, and every time they're on screen, I hate that they're on screen. I want them to go
That
away.
that is
I
that
won't.
is true.
They're
Like I
so.
want to see more. I want to see more monkey versus lizard
I
violence.
I would love that as a Godzilla film where there's like no human main characters and the film is just focusing on the monsters doing their shit. If they really want like that, I could accept as, yeah, this is your monster action movie, which can still be good. You can still make that well written. Nature documentaries are really fucking cool. I like watching those. And those are just real animals. Like imagine the cool stories you could make making like a movie completely focused on the monsters as like the main characters of the film. Like you could do really cool shit with that.
Yeah, I I understand your point of view of wanting to always like improve, but for me, I don't know. I know that the movie making process is not just the corporate part process. There's also the artistic side of it. Also the people that are like slogging in the bottom of the the totem pole. You know, if they like did something good, that's not great, but it's good. It's always nice to like send them a compliment,
Yeah,
like saying, "Oh, this was all right. It can be better, but it was pretty good."
I can understand that, but at the same time, this is a multi-million-dollar, you know, company studio. This is legendary. They have a lot of movies and series under their belts. They're not like some new startup indie
Yeah,
studio.
I
So
agree
it's
with
like
that.
they have millions of dollars to throw to like find good writers, good directors, good CGI artists, good choreographer. They have the resources. They just don't use them properly. So I don't like, for me, I don't know if like the excuse of like, obviously compliment where it's due. Like if there's a genuinely a good scene or good moment in the movie, you can compliment it. But at the same time, I also think criticizing all the other shit that's really bad is important too, because that's how you get better. I mean, like we both went to college for graphic design. One of the biggest parts of any project is getting the critique, because if you don't get critique
That
from
is
your
true.
from professors, from peers, you're not going to get better. You're not going to improve. You're gonna be in blissful ignorance of your own work, until life hits you like a freight train and you realize you probably
You
should
realize
have
that you suck.
you probably should have got a second opinion, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth opinion. Um,
Yeah, I
that's
do
just
agree.
how I
I do
see
agree
it.
with that. Criticism is important.
Um,
I'm not saying criticism is not important.
no, I
Criticism is
figured that's
very
not what you're. That's obviously not what you're saying. Just you know, like I just don't have a whole lot of, I guess, sympathy for these like multi-million billion-dollar companies. Like they have more resources than any one of us could ever dream of having, and it feels like a waste. You know, it's like I don't like seeing money go down the drain, even if it's not my own. It's like you had the opportunity to make a really really good thing, and with all that resources and money, you ended up doing the exact opposite. um, and it's happening everywhere too. Like video games, there's no exception these days with like AAA
yeah.
studios and stuff. It's like you have extremely talented people and devs, but you just keep fucking it. You just can't stop fisting it with with the executives, can you?
No, they cannot.
Yeah.
So continuing with our little side project we're doing here,
Mm-hmm.
since you've brought in the big guns, I had to plan for it. Luckily, I got a guy that usually plans
No,
things years in advance.
that's not fair.
And
with
he
enough
saw it coming
with enough prep time.
with the
Batman with
prep
prep.
time.
He got him with prep
He,
time.
he gave, he gave Saitama 2 years ago a sandwich that had a bad shaped exploding device
It had a
that was put
fucking
in his
tumor in
fridge.
it. I gave you cancer, Saitama.
And he gave specifically his insignia on the tumor on it as well that has biological wiring on it that made it so that what the hell? All right, he can detonate the tumor explosive at any time, and he was waiting for this exact moment.
It's like, Saitama, you don't realize 2 years ago I put a fucking exploding tumor into your brain.
Exactly, and he was waiting for this specific moment to
Yeah.
detonate it,
Mm-hmm.
all according to plan. So content. I'll just give my little tangent right now.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I get that, the multi-million-dollar companies have no excuses for making good things because they have all the resources. But from experience that I have in life, is that usually the more money a company has, the dumber the decisions they make. I don't know why. It's like once you put a lot of money, you usually get more people involved. And when you put a lot of people doing one thing, the worst decision is usually the decision that is decided upon. I don't know why that happens. I just know that's usually how it goes.
For I don't know
Like you
because
get,
we also have
I think it's
examples of
something to do with.
really good stuff. Like,
Yeah, but I'm saying like usually like because I've worked in like a few companies before
mm-hmm,
that were like big companies that had like a big board of directives.
mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but usually when you get a lot of money and a lot of people to do one decision, it usually takes forever for it to be decided upon.
Well,
And when
yeah.
it does, it's usually not a good one.
Well, yeah, it's because most companies have shareholders and people have stock in the company, so they get to have an opinion on the company because they're putting money in it,
Yeah,
which can hamper it. So like, it's one of those things where I understand that it's not all the blame goes to the people making it. Like, for example, like game devs, sometimes game developers can come up with a really good game that gets absolutely shit on because the executives try to monetize it or try to bring down decisions that absolutely ruin the great idea those devs had, which is real and stuff. But at the same time, the end product is still the same. Like,
yeah,
a lot of these people are paying. Well, everyone actually is paying money to go watch, for example, these movies or play these games. And if it's like a family, with how expensive movie tickets are, you take a family of 4 or 5 to see a movie, that's like 70-80 bucks right there just to see a 2-hour film. And if it's really, really bad, it's like, well, I'm not getting that $80 back. Um,
yeah.
so like,
That is usually what's frustrating about movies.
it's complicated. Like, the not at it's not always the fault of um, the people making it. Like, obviously, it's not the camera guy's fault or the mic guy's fault that the movie was shit. But at the end of the day, like, it all comes down to usually the script. You know, it's usually like, what decisions are the writers making in their story, and that's usually my biggest problem with mainstream media. It's not even the CGI or even sometimes bad choreography. It's literally just the script most of the time. Like the writers just did a really bad job at writing a good story.
Yeah, it's like you had one job.
Yeah, like
How
just
can you fuck it up?
uh-huh. And I think that what you said earlier is true. Like, they are starting to realize that, you know, it's not working anymore. Like, oh, we're not really unstoppable like we thought we were. Um, so hopefully it gets better. I sure hope it gets better. I don't want them
I
to
also
suck.
think it's better.
Like, I really want these movies and franchises to be good. Like, I want to see a Godzilla film doing really, really good, because that means we get more good content, and those companies get more money because it's very, very good, usually. sometimes.
Yeah, but I think that will only happen once they go into like desperation mode.
Yeah.
'Cause you know the story of Disney, like Disney when it started getting a stride, it was actually about to go into bankruptcy, like
Mm-hmm.
and that's when usually they had like the Disney Renaissance,
Yeah.
where all those good animated movies came out,
Oh man, those
which
were
were
just.
they were just desperately trying to get money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, let's just do stuff that gets money.
But I
Damn
but
the
I think there was
consequences.
also I think there was also clear passion behind it as well. Like
Yeah,
when
that
you
is
when you
also true.
watch when you watch those older Disney movies, even like the 2000s era of like Disney Pixar films, like um, shit like Toy Story or The Incredibles. It's like that's clear passion that went into those films. You could tell.
Yeah, and also something that I don't get in current era is that it doesn't take millions of dollars for you to make a good movie. How are you spending this much money?
It doesn't. It rarely does. Fucking Godzilla minus one was made with like what 12 million, something even.
I
No,
know, but like, how can you say that like, oh, this movie took like, I don't know, 70, 80 billion dollars to make,
it's
and
it's this
it's
fucking
dog
bad.
shit? It's like,
Like
where did the money go?
I could tell you now. I'm pretty sure. Like I could tell you probably half of that money is marketing. Like because like they slap the marketing fucking everywhere and it never works. Nowadays it's not working. Like uh they're not really making money like they used to.
Like they forget that if the money's good, the marketing is going to be the people that watched it and liked it and tell people, hey, go watch the thing
Mm-hmm.
because it's good. But I think they forgot about that. It's like the people that like it will also become part of the marketing. So because they're making shit movies that people don't like watching and don't like
Well,
spread the word, they have
no
to
one,
spend more money in marketing to tell more people to go watch it.
yeah, no one talks about them. Like word of mouth is one of the best marketing. Is some of the best marketing you can get, and the best way to get word of mouth is to actually make something that's good.
So
Like
yeah,
um, it, like what's a recent thing that's come out? I'm trying to think of. Damn.
uh, let's see a recent thing that came out that's
The,
all right.
the only thing I can think of right now is some video games. There hasn't been a whole lot of like. I mean, I guess Fallout came out, but that wasn't an example I was trying to use because I don't think Fallout's super well written. The show. Um,
And I was gonna say I think the last movie I watched was like that Willy Wonka movie that
oh,
I thought personally was a good movie but a terrible sequel.
I didn't. I didn't watch that movie. I just. I'm not that heavily invested. In.
Yeah, I wasn't either, so I was like, it's there, I'm gonna watch it.
Mhm.
Like the whole thing about it is that I don't know if you watched the first Willy Wonka,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
original.
yeah. Gene Wilder.
You know how yeah, you know how the Willy Wonka is like the cynical, kind of dark,
He is a yeah. He is.
skeptic.
He is. He's not all
Yeah,
sunshines and rainbows.
yeah, he's not all there. It's like they
Hmm.
put like like young adult Willy Wonka in the movie that's like trying to get his factory going and get sponsored. He's just like this wide-eyed young lad full of hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
And I
What?
was like, where
To,
the hell is the skeptic, cynical psychopath from the first movie? What happened to him?
maybe I've never watched it. Like, is it the story of like how he becomes that? Like by the end of the
Yeah,
film.
no, it's a story of like how he begins his first
Hmm.
factory. Like the
Okay.
movie ends and he's still like the wide-eyed young man full of hope and love.
Hmm.
And you don't know how he like what happens in between his young 20s and his late 50s for him to become the psychopath from the first movie.
What the?
But as I said, like if it was like a story about someone else, like maybe like some new character that's like a Willy Wonka ripoff, it would have
Hmm.
been a fine movie. I think it just became a bad prequel, because it's Willy Wonka. Willy Wonka is a kind of not all there
Hmm.
sociopath that turns children into chocolate for some reason.
That shit is fucking insano.
That is the only. That is the only like. That is the biggest gripe I had with the movie. The movie, like the story was good. It's just bad because it's supposed to be Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Why the fuck can't I draw? What are you doing, Aggie? B- Magma, whatever. It used to be called Aggie IO. Hold on, I gotta refresh my page. You better fucking work this time, motherfucker. Hey, there we go. Okay, I can
So
draw again.
I've also haven't watched that many movies currently because
There hasn't been a lot that I've been super
there
interested
hasn't
in.
been a lot of good ones.
Yeah, another one
Obviously,
I watched recently, that Monkey Man movie that what's his name, something Patel, directed and was the main character in it.
is it Planet of the Apes? Is that what you're talking about?
No. Monkey Man. It's a movie about this guy. It's a movie set in India about this guy who he's like as a night job. He's a pit fighter, like their own like underground WWE thing, and his character is Monkey Man because he has like a monkey mask and shit. That's why it's called that. But that one was pretty enjoyable. I wouldn't, unfortunately, as much as I like how creative it is, I probably wouldn't recommend going to see it in movies just because I would I think it drops off a little bit in the second half, but I would absolutely recommend watching it if it comes on streaming or something.
Yeah, maybe if it comes on streaming, I'll have a look at it.
Yeah, I
You reminded me of an old movie my sister recommended for me to watch,
mhm,
which I don't remember the name of it. It was like a Korean movie.
mhm,
It was about like a dude that like got possession of a zoo,
uh-huh,
but yeah, the zoo had to sell like most of the animals because it was in debt. So
uh-huh,
like it was a zoo with animals that was about to go bankrupt. So he
yeah,
had like the smart idea of like getting like the staff to dress up as the animals
mhm,
and like pretend to be them in the little pens.
mhm.
And like the people are like, oh, this will never work. Like nobody's gonna buy it. But it's like, no, no, no. People will buy it because the animals stay really far away. And if you stay like in this certain like specific animal, you look just like the animal in real life. So it was like a really dumb movie, but it was funny
Okay.
because like somebody was like pretending to be a lion, but he was like, oh, you can have to pretend to be a lion, but you always have to be facing the audience, like the people that are looking at you,
Uh-huh.
because if they like look at you from the side, they can see your human legs.
Mhm.
So all the time that somebody would come by, he would like always have to like shift his like his position so that the person looking at him would always be like facing the front of the lion. So it was like the person's like there was like a scene I remember from the movie that was like, oh, let's look at the lion from this other angle, and like there was like a bunch of trees and stuff like decorating the pen, so they couldn't see like the lion like shifting position.
Uh-huh.
So they were like, oh, let's look at it from this angle, and like they would like walk to the other side, and like the person that was the lion costume was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, yeah, like to like move around and like get himself in position, like putting the tail in the right place, like putting
Mhm.
the legs so that people didn't see the legs. And they're like, "Oh, what is going on? Let's look at it from this other. Let's like just go look at it from over there. I want to see the lion's butt." And they would just walk, and like the person was just like stressed out continuously.
Okay. That seems like an interesting film. What's it called again?
I don't remember what the movie was called because like
Okay.
so long ago. It was like I remember it was like something. It was a Korean movie,
Okay.
and it was about people pretending to be animals.
Okay. I could probably find that. Sounds interesting.
I remember it was an alright movie. It just took really long for the animal shenanigans to begin. It was
Mhm.
like I think it was like 30 minutes before it started
Mm.
for the guy who had the ideas like to put people in costumes. And then there was like this one part of the movie that the person that was like the gorilla
Yeah.
was like going to his den, but like somebody came to the zoo early and saw like the gorilla walking around the zoo and just panicked.
Just fucking chilling.
Like the person just like I think it was like the person just fainted because they got like the animals got loose.
Mm. I fucking I do in real life though. I do like watching gorillas walk on two legs. It's really fucking funny.
It is funny.
Gorillas are my favorite animals. So like, I'll just fucking enjoy watching them do anything.
Oh, really? You like
Oh yeah, dude.
you enjoy?
Silverback gorillas are my favorite animal. They're so fucking cool.
Yeah, gorillas are pretty cool.
I just like watching them do things. They're just fucking funny. They're like people. They're like almost people. They're like right there, and they can't figure it out yet.
Yeah, I remember. Like the funniest story I have of a gorilla is that there was a gorilla from the the zoo in my old city.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be like the zoo mascot because he always did like some funny shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he got angry, he would like actually get poop and throw it at the people, as like a monkey would do, which made him pretty famous.
Mm-hmm.
And after like he like it was this was like a long time ago. Like after he died, they like put like the statue of him
Uh-huh.
like in the middle of the zoo, like as a remembrance.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like this is like very cool for a gorilla to know how to do all these things. And like under the plaque, it like had a written documentary about like his funniest shenanigans he did
Mm-hmm.
beforehand.
That's awesome. Yeah, gorillas they're neat creatures. I just they have some of the most personality out of any animal I've seen. You know, like I know like dogs or cats and like I know horses even and shit like that have personality, but it's just like gorillas. They can make whole ass facial expressions and stuff, and it's just so fucking funny.
I don't think I have a favorite animal. I like them all equally, but I do have a least favorite animal.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Yeah, I hate sharks for some reason.
Oh okay. Do you have like a
And
fear of
it's funny
water?
'cause no, this it's a fear of sharks specifically, and it's funny because the story which acquired me the fear of sharks, there wasn't even a shark involved.
Okay.
The story of it was like I was like a little kid going to the ocean, and I saw what I came to learn is a stingray later on because I saw like a big black circle on the sand. It was like
Uh-huh.
it was one of those beaches like the water's very transparent,
Mhm.
and I didn't know what it was at the time. But when I got close to it, it moved, and I thought it was a shark, so I got scared. So ever since then, I've always hated sharks.
Okay, just that fear of like it could have fucking gnawed your damn calf
It
off.
could have gotten me.
Yeah.
But the thing that was funny is that I I unapologetically hate sharks till this day for that reason.
Hmm.
I know it's a stupid reason, but fuck it, it's my reason.
Yeah.
And I have a friend that loves sharks. Like another webtoon creator.
Hmm.
Her name is Andrea. She makes the comic A Damselfish in Distress.
Okay.
But she loves sharks. She loves all marine creatures. And
I like
tell her
sharks
all
too.
the time, yeah, and I tell her like all the times, like if I could kill a shark, I would, and I
My,
would not be apologetic for it.
oh my god. They didn't
I
do
always
nothing
do,
to you.
and I always do it just specifically because she likes sharks, like specifically.
Hmm.
It's like all the she's like big on the marine save marine animals
Okay.
and all. And I always tell her is like if I could kill a shark, I would in front of its family. I would just take the fins and not make shark fin soup out of it. Throw it back without the fins, so to send a message to the other sharks
God,
not to mess with me.
you're evil.
Oh, I am. Kind of translate to the comic as well.
Yeah, you like to start fights with your own fan base, huh?
I would if I could. Anyway,
That little small comic you did at the end of chapter one was pretty neat.
yeah,
Getting all up in the grill.
the idea for it, it's like I was thinking is like, maybe I should start a Patreon, but then having a good idea to like introduce it,
Hmm.
and then I was like, I have like the because I have like a sizable buffer for it, and I was like thinking maybe I could put it in there, and maybe if somebody wanted to have a look at it beforehand,
Mhm.
like yeah, like maybe like pay like $2 or $3 for it, but I I don't like just saying stuff. I like making like a fun introduction for it.
Uh,
So then that comment was put there, and I was like, wait, idea.
yeah,
So that's where the idea came from.
it was a neat way to introduce your Patreon. I need to.
Which is like killing two birds in one stone because I did put like like a goal for it for if people want to see it faster,
Mhm.
can help me out because I don't really have a lot of time for it. That's why the comic is on a 2 weeks spectrum so that I don't get burnt out while making it.
Mm. Hey,
But
you
if
put it out faster than me. That's for sure. I put it out chapter by chapter, so.
yeah, I put like page by page, but it's like in a 2 week every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a little bit faster, but also pretty slow. But if I don't get the money, it's just an excuse for me to continue in the pace that I'm making because I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if it goes well, it's great, but if it doesn't, it's fine. Basically.
Yeah. I don't. I don't advertise my Patreon that much, but hey, for all you watching, if you want early access to new chapters of Where the Humans Go and pages as I make them, click the link in the description. You beautiful bastard, you.
Yeah, I've also learned that marketing is just called being annoying with extra steps.
It kind of is. You just keep fucking saying it until someone.
And usually people can't do it because people don't like being annoying. People are self-conscious about it.
Yeah, I just
You just have to learn it.
I just forget to do it. It's not even like a self conscious thing. It's just I forget to fucking promote like ways people can actually monetarily support me.
Oh, that is definitely me as well. I always forget.
Yeah, I get so wrapped up in like making stuff, I forget that it's like, hey, you have a thing that you set up specifically to make more money from it.
Yeah, that is, I think, also something that you tend to forget as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that really helped is like like programming, uh, up like posts and stuff beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a. Have you ever heard of a site called Buffer?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a site that can let you like program posts for your social media.
Mm-hmm.
So like if there's a free trial, they can like program up to 10 posts for free. So
Okay.
basically what you do is that you program posts like maybe like on a weekend for the rest of the week. And then like the posts like you program the time specifically for it to go in the social media that's gonna show up in.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can just post stuff without you being there posting stuff on the hour for maximum engagement.
Yeah, I mean that's neat. I guess I just don't I don't think about social media systematically as that. I usually just post whenever I feel like it or I have something cool that I drew that I want to share. Which is usually like maybe on an
Speaking of
average of
something
like
cool, I saw you drew Chad Godzilla.
He's the coolest fucking guy ever. I fucking love Godzilla.
Chadzilla.
With how much I shit on the new movies, you wouldn't know, but I fucking love Godzilla. I used to
Understandable.
back in the
Godzilla
day.
is
Back in the day when we still had when TVs cost like $5,000 and had like DVDs or like VHS things built into them. I would sit down in the middle of my living room with a bag of chips or marshmallows or something, and I would put in Godzilla VHS tapes and just sit there and watch them without skipping a beat. I remember specifically I had a VHS for Godzilla, Son of Godzilla, with that ugly fucking little Godzilla puppet that was supposed to be Godzilla's son. That movie was fucking funny. I should go watch that again for old time's sake.
Yeah, I've actually never watched that one.
It's it's not good, but it's funny because you have this ugly little like mini Godzilla lizard puppet walking around doing shit.
But I remember that the old puppets were hilarious to look at.
Oh
I
yeah,
do remember that.
the old men in costumes, the practical costumes were always super fun.
It was a product of the time.
Oh yeah, um, and
I think they
they were
should bring it
cheesy.
back, like one of these CGI movies, just like put a person in a costume in the middle of it as like a joke.
Yeah,
It would be unexpected and nobody would see coming, and it would be cheap as hell as a gag.
yeah. I mean, practical. I've always loved the like a mixture of practical effects and CGI. Um, you know, like the fucking the original Predator movie still holds up with that Predator costume and the little puppetry they did in his face to make his little mandibles move and shit.
Wait, am I thinking of the? Yeah, you know the one you're talking about, the one Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah, yeah, the OG Predator film.
Yeah, the OG Predator.
Yeah, that movie's really good.
You know, the get to the chopper.
That's where
Every time,
that's the classic line.
the classic one.
Yeah.
I think all the lines from all Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies are hilarious.
I mean,
His
he's got
accent,
some badass one-liners.
and his accent just makes it funny. It's like
Mm-hmm.
cool and funny at the same time.
Yeah. What is he? Austrian, I think. Is that an Austrian accent he's got?
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. All right.
I think my favorite movie is just like one that everybody hates, but I like it because it's so bad.
What?
No, I enjoy watching the Cat in the Hat movie.
Dude, you're not alone. That movie's fucking ridiculously stupid and funny. I love it.
Yeah. Like every time I tell people that, they go like, "Oh, the movie is terrible." No, I go like, "No, you don't understand. The movie's secretly genius."
Exactly.
That movie was. I tell people like that movie was so perfect that the creator's wife said that it can't be made with real life people anymore. This is
Oh yeah.
the test of movie making with costumes. Like you can't make better than this. Now we're going to CGI.
Exactly. That's exactly why she said it's not allowed anymore because it's just too good. She was like, we can't top this. The Cat
We
in the
can't
Hat
top
movie.
this. Let us stop while we're ahead
Exactly.
and not make any more real people.
The Cat in the Hat movie with fucking Mike Myers as the Cat in the Hat is the Dr. Seuss magnum opus film, and he's looking down proud.
Especially since Dr. Seuss canonically hated children, which
Hey,
makes it even more funny that he wrote children's books.
he hated children.
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere that
Huh.
like the author said, "I don't really like children that much."
Okay. Interesting.
Don't quote me on that. I just remember
Nope.
hearing that somewhere.
You heard it here
Which
first, folks. You heard it here first, folks. Real true fact about Dr. Seuss, presented by Jade Fang. He hated kids. He hates your kids. This is real.
If it's not real, it's real in my heart
We
because
don't.
it makes it even more funny
We don't.
that you made a name for yourself in the world by writing children's books whilst hating kids at the same time.
Yeah.
And you
Maybe-
can't make it better than that.
Maybe that's why he did it. Maybe he hated kids so much. He was like, I gotta fucking like find a way to teach kids how to not be little shitheads. And he did it.
I was
he did
thinking
it
the
in children's
opposite.
books.
Like, I hate kids so much. Let's just fuck up their grammar and make up words in my books that they're gonna think are real words.
Let's teach them to eat fucking green foods. Wait, green foods exist. I was right.
Food coloring exists nowadays. Maybe not in his time though. Maybe they didn't hadn't like mastered the technology of
Well,
making food
I think
coloring
they had
yet.
food coloring back then because they had candy and stuff. Like, and candy is all crazy colored.
Oh yeah, that is true. Well, never mind on that.
All right, we've got a little bit of extra space in the middle here. What should we draw?
Let's see. Let's just each make one last random face off then.
Okay.
I'll pick something, you pick something then. We'll make our own like Godzilla versus Kong, except something versus something else.
Okay.
That is not. I'll pick my character and you pick whatever you want. I think I already got an idea. I'm gonna bring in the biggest cheater. I mean, protagonist that I could come up with. Oh, anyway, I was saying, Cat in the Hat, really good.
Yeah.
People should people should give the movie a chance and not just think, oh, it's a unfaithful adaptation of the book. The
Yeah.
book kind of sucked. The movie made it better in my eyes.
Mm.
It's like, what are you gonna? Oh, you made a mess and you cleaned it up. In in the movie, it's like, oh, you destroyed the fabric of space time and broke reality and somehow fixed it before your mom got there. Good job. Anyway, we all have like our movies that we like for no apparent reason. My dad, he enjoys this really old movie called What About Bob?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, you probably never heard of it because it's like it's a movie about a person that like he has to go to therapy because he has like all these mental issues.
Mm-hmm.
And like the thing is that his no therapist enjoys working with him because he's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And he like the last therapist he gets is like about to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And like he like goes like, oh, I'll help you after I go to vacation, but the guy goes like, no, I need help now.
Okay.
And like he ruins the guy's vacation and makes the guy insane.
Okay.
The therapist basically insane. And he gets all better because of it, which is hilarious. But it's one of those movies that you have to watch to understand. It's like the plot is everywhere. Like, 'cause the guy's family starts liking him, and you see like the therapist slowly becoming more insane and hating the guy,
Mm-hmm.
the Bob guy even more. But it's a fun movie.
Okay.
It's not my favorite, but it's my dad's favorite. And every time like I come over, he goes like, let's watch this movie. And I go like, all right, Dad, let's watch your favorite movie. Anyway, what are you drawing right there?
This is Scrumplo.
Scrumblum.
Scrumplo.
I'm thinking I am drawing the biggest cheater in anime, Yami Yugi,
Oh, okay.
the guy who fucks the rules and makes money. The children's card game, which is kind of ironic because I've never actually played Yu-Gi-Oh.
Neither have
I've
I.
only watched the anime.
My older brother used to play. He used to have like a binder filled with Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
The only thing I've played in the card variety, I played Pokemon once, but like the one that I'm more passionate about is Magic the Gathering.
Mm-hmm.
Which, going on a side tangent here, Magic the Gathering, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like I
Mhm.
love the game, but the thing that made me like really enjoy the game is the story behind it,
Mm-hmm.
because they have like their own lore and world in it.
Yeah.
And currently, it kind of dropped the ball in the whole lore thing.
Okay.
Like it's really sad. Like I get like how the Star Wars fans get
It's
with
like
like
I
seeing
get,
like
I
the
get you
IP
guys.
that
I
they love
understand.
slowly die in the hand of incompetent people.
Yep. This thing you got into, slowly being stripped away of everything that made it good. It's a very common theme.
Yeah, and it's annoying because the card game is still good, but like stories make little sense. The current last ones that came out,
Mm-hmm.
they're like and they're like more like balls to the wall. Like you just like I remember when I first got into it, there was like this big overarching story that was like in the sets. I don't know if you have you ever played Magic the Gathering? You've heard about it?
I know of it. I've never played it myself.
I remember when I first got into it, uh, it was around 2010, 2011. they were making like this big story about the Eldrazi
Mm-hmm.
versus corrupting in Zendikar. It's basically a world of adventure and challenges, like a where the world's very dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
but inside the world there's a bunch of Cthulhu-like esque aliens that destroy realities being
Mm-hmm.
sealed there,
Okay.
and shenanigans happens, and these big giant Cthulhu monsters start eating the worlds. And then they just left it in a cliffhanger, like, oh, we'll get back to it to see what happens later.
Mm.
And this was my first disappointment because they made like this whole story about like, oh, these things can't be destroyed because these are not their real bodies. Their real bodies like in a different dimension, and if you destroy these avatar-like things, they just reform some other time.
Mm.
And then I think like 6 years later, they get back to this story, and it's like, oh, these things can't be destroyed. What did we do to solve this thing? It's because they keep like eating up away reality. You're like, why don't we just throw a big fireball at them and that kills them?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Guys, I did it. I killed God. What'd you use? Fireball.
And then there was another big arcing story with a dragon that wanted to become God, and that story was just done so badly that a lot of people just got out of the game because they wrote a book basically. Usually the Magic the Gathering stories they post it on their website and they're free for everyone to just read it when they
Mm-hmm.
want to. They wrote a book which you had to pay for it, and the book was ass.
Okay.
Like sure thing. There in the beginning of the game, like in the 1990s, there were books
Mm-hmm.
that people bought. At least the books were good.
Yeah, for sure.
This book was terrible. People hated it. I just read reviews about it and I saw that people were not liking it. I was like, you know what? I'm just losing faith on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sad.
I know that's something that goes on like with D&D is like Wizards of the Coast will fuck shit up all the time. They'll like make updates to something that's really good, and then they'll just undo all the good shit they did, and then everyone shits on them. Granted, I'm not really part of that. Like, I play D&D, but I wouldn't consider myself really part of like the grander D&D community. I don't really know like everything that's going on with Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah,
I just stick to my own games with my friends, so I'm kind of
yeah, I'm
separated
the
from all
same.
that.
Like same for me. I don't really get into the D&D community and lore thing. Like we just hang out with friends and do things.
Yeah, because we just make our own lore, so it's like I don't care what Wizards of the Coast says. This is my fucking game. I make my own lore.
Like what? There's a new edition. There's a, there's a new rule set for D&D. You know what? I'm not gonna learn the new one
Mm-hmm.
because people say it's bad. I'm just gonna use what I have right now. Use all our homebrew ideas that we've made to fix the game.
Mm-hmm.
Which, makes it fun. So anyway, you're a little goblin gangster there,
He's got yeah,
coming in with the
he's got a little bit of he's got a crowd, dude. They love him. Oh my god, fucking guys, it's fucking Scruplo. It's him. They love him. They love Scrumplo. He's famous around these parts.
Oh, he looks famous.
Yeah.
All his bling.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Young,
Ah!
bringing out young Yugi. He's bringing out the big guns. He's bringing Dark Magician and Karibo.
Those are nothing. Those are nothing for the match of a 9mm.
But he came prepared with a trap card that he's holding in hand. That could be anything. It could even be a boat. Who knows what it could be?
Yep.
And just looking at this canvas from far away, looks so chaotic.
That's how they always turn out, dude. If you watch
Yeah.
episode of Spice Cabin, they always end up like this. Just the most just the dumbest bullshit on every corner of the screen.
Yeah, I've actually watched like the first ones, but I think I watched the first three.
Mm-hmm.
Then it just stopped showing up at my feed for some reason.
Ah, well, that's just classic YouTube not putting forth the videos I put. I'm pretty sure there's 7 episodes out now. But yeah.
I just put them up as a podcast later on then.
Yeah, that's
So I can
yeah. Get it,
so I
set it
can
as background noise.
I can update all my gossip,
All right.
get in tune with the stories, as they say.
Yeah. So let's go through the canvas real quick here. We'll start with our attack defense game. First guy we drew, little stick man, just minding his own business. Then and then Darth Vader tries to attack him, and then Ant Man sends a bunch of ants to crawl over his skin and bite him from the inside out. Then Pink Panther sucks up the Queen Ant. Then Uncle Grandpa, right here, protecting him, just keeps dying and then regenerating. What was the next one after that? Doodle Bob.
Doodle Bob.
Yep. Doodle Bob wraps him up to pull him down. SpongeBob comes in to finish what he started. Lamp comes in to burn SpongeBob like he did in the movie. Saitama protects him by reflecting it back at the lamp. And then to end it off, Batman, with enough prep time, was able to take out Saitama with a magical exploding brain tumor.
That had his insignia on it. It's very important to know that.
Yeah, he blew him up with a cancer bomb. It gives you cancer.
This man, this it has been a really long time since I've done one of these. The game always ends up this being this chaotic.
Oh yeah. What's next? Oh, Jade Fang and his horrible fear of sharks. His fear slash hatred. That's you. That's you.
That's hilarious.
That's you. Kong swinging around, the little baby Kong from the movie. Shad Godzilla because he's the fucking coolest movie monster. Who's this drill guy?
Oh, I made a Gurren Lagann from.
Oh, hell yeah! Fucking another Gurren Lagann fan. Gurren Lagann kicks ass.
Gurren Lagann is my favorite anime.
It's
peak anime.
It's a lot of people's favorite.
Care what you say, it's the best anime ever.
No, it's a great one. I love Gurren Lagann. Yugi and two of his. Imagine his little like Yu-Gi-Oh card monsters.
Yeah, I did a really shitty Dark Magician right there. I do admit it's hard to recognize.
I don't recognize any of them. I don't know shit about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I watched the anime. Those are the only two that I remember from it.
Yeah.
The Dark Magician is Ace Monster, and then there's Little Karibo, which is like the furball thing.
And then Yugi's fighting Scrumplo, the famous fucking iconic Scrumplo. He's got his own little crowd of people that follow him around. They love him.
Yeah, he's pretty famous. Actually looked him up. Yeah, he's a big deal.
I know. He's getting out of the underground scene. You know, he's mainstream now. That's everything, right?
Yeah, that is everything.
That's everything. Oh, jeez. All right.
And we'll never know if global warming is actually a thing.
It's not, according to Scrumplo.
Just covering it up.
What are you talking about? Global
Don't worry about it.
And don't worry about it. That's what Scrumplo says. So I ain't worrying about it. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, this was a good one. This is a good session.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on, man. I had a good time.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I had a great time here.
I enjoyed.
And then if people want to read a really fun comic, you should also look at Where Humans Go. But
thank you. But if you want to read another fun comic, go read E is for Evil on Webtoon. And Where the Humans Go. I mean, all the links for that will be in the description for E is for Evil and all of Jade Fang's socials. So go check out his stuff. Really good work. And then my stuff is also in the description under that if you want to check that out if you're new here. But before we go, just one more time, tell people who you are, what you're doing, and if you have actually any future projects they should be on the lookout for.
Oh, I'm actually making a little gag comic he's for evil characters, not
Okay.
just like the little short thing, but like alternate universe kind of thing where
Mm-hmm.
everybody's just like some sort of like Big Bang kind of little thing where everybody's just in an apartment complex and
Mm-hmm.
they're like all neighbors or something, but
Mm-hmm.
it's still in the works. Maybe it should be out like by the end of the year.
All right. Sweet. Well, yeah. Keep a lookout for that. Um, but yeah, that's all. That's all I've got.
And well, see ya.
See ya. Yeah. Goodbye. Bye, everybody. Goodbye.